The Don is departing. Matt Wells leaves for the MLS. Semenyo says no, and Tottenham linked with a whole host of players. Welcome to Project Spurs.
Oh, the streets are cold and grey, but the fire in our hearts won't stray from the pitch where dreams collide. We'll stand together side by side. Oh, when the Spurs go marching in, when the Spurs go marching in, I wanna be there in that number. Oh, when the Spurs go marching in, from the north to...
Hello, welcome to Project Spurs. Very special kind of transfer edition ahead of the January transfer window. We're kind of getting in quick now before everything shuts down for Christmas. We are a couple of days away from the big day. I hope you've all had a relaxing weekend after a relatively decent performance. Callum's not looking like he has, unfortunately. Harry's looking like he definitely might have done. And James, who's his first time with us on Project Spurs, is not too sure by his facial reactions of whether he was happy with how things went at the weekend. I saved that for another video because we could go on for some times. But Harry, welcome back to Project Spurs. How are you feeling heading into Christmas? Are you excited? Are you a kid at Christmas on Christmas Eve?
Listen, Yes, you said it right. I'm usually quite happy and bubbly with anything with people that know me, but I'm a bit of a Grinch, to be honest, when it comes to Christmas. I think there's a lot of fuss for one day, and I always think, oh God, let's get it done and let's move on to a new year. I do like the thought though of kind of seeing family and going again next year and looking ahead, setting new ambitions and working hard. But Gary, thank you for having me. And you're right by my facial expressions. I know we've lost, but you're content, I think it would be fair to say, with what I saw against Liverpool. I always like to look at the positives. I think there's something we can take out of that, move on. Of course, still a lot to improve on. When isn't there? You could win titles every year, and there's still things you can improve to make sure you win it by a bigger margin. So as far as I'm concerned, Christmas, let's get it over and done with in the nicest possible way. But with Spurs as well, I mean, ideally get the season over and done with, but that's not going to happen.
That's another discussion, I think, for another day that we could do about 3 or 4 hours on. We are 5 days away from our next game. It's going to feel a bit weird, Callum. Boxing Day, no Tottenham playing. It's going to be a bit weird, do you think? You are on mute, Callum. I'll turn you off because,
nice to listen to him.
I've just got back from work. I'll turn your microphone on for you.
Oh, well, Callum, I might as well have someone do something for me. Cheeky so-and-so. But no, I think it's going to feel weird for a lot of teams this year, isn't it? Because obviously there is only one game. Realistically, we're not used to this. Boxing Day football, for as long as I've been alive, has been something that you'd always watch. So for Spurs, it'd probably be all right. It gives us an extra bit of time off, hopefully to get some more ideas coached into us. But realistically, football is what you want on Boxing Day, just to break it up a little bit, to be honest. You're all fat from Christmas Day. You might as well burn up some energy screaming at the TV. And unfortunately, this year, we won't be able to do it this year.
I'm fat all year round, so it's not just on Christmas Day. So that doesn't make too much difference for me. When people share their chips at football games, it's difficult not to get fat. Callum doesn't share his chips at football games for anybody that is listening, and I am in control of the mute button before he tells me otherwise. James, welcome to Project Spurs. Great to have you on. We've wanted you to come on since we started. It's great to have you with us. How are you feeling going into the festive period? Obviously, we've just got one game left of the 2025 now, but expectations sort of heading in.
Yeah. Thanks for having me on, Gary. Pleasure to be on. It feels a bit weird, to be honest, doesn't it? Like Callum just said, you usually have a lot of football on Boxing Day. It's one of the main things to look forward to. So it's a bit strange with one fixture. I don't really understand all these fixtures at 8 p.m. as well. It's like, what's this transport going to be like in Manchester? Like Man United, Newcastle at 8 p.m. Boxing Day, and then you got we're on New Year's Day at 8 p.m. aren't we? And it's just a bit strange. But all set for Christmas, and like Callum said, at least we've got a bit more time between the Liverpool game and the Palace game to get our heads straight again and hopefully get a result before the end of the year.
Yeah, absolutely. Harry, do we need that extra time after Saturday? It was Saturday night, wasn't it? The days are rolling into one now. Do we need that extra time?
I think it's one of those where I don't think it's going to help the team too much because understandably they're going to be off, at least for a day or two with their families. But yeah, you hope so, Gary. I think the reality is, it's hit Thomas Frank hard, I'm sure, going from one game a week to two. I mean, literally that's double the amount of games, most of the time, because let's be honest with you, at least 7 times out of 10 we're playing in Europe as well or some other cup competition. So yeah, I think it'd be beneficial. The biggest problem we've got right now, Gary, and again, a whole different kettle of fish. I know it's a whole different conversation, but we don't know what our best 11 is now, and that's something that needs to be figured out. It's something that ideally you test in pre-season. I think it was, but I love that. But it's still being tested now. Don't make me laugh. I'm on one, but I think Frank needs to find in particular his best midfield. There's a lot of options in there. You're never going to have a set in stone 11 because of injuries, but it has to adapt. The thing is, we're chopping and changing it. I don't think the players know where they're coming or going. That's a problem. Sometimes you can be too adaptable. Under Andrew, we're not adaptable and so predictable. Now we're so adaptable that the players are like, do we sit back, do we press, do we tell them to go? I genuinely think some of it is the players don't know. If you listen to Van der Ven's interview, he's complimentary of Frank, but I just take out of that, he's not really quite sure what Frank's about and what he's trying to achieve. The reality is Frank's never had a set in stone style, and that does it suit Tottenham? Does it suit these players? I'm 100% sure, but no. Hopefully this period will help Gary playing just once a week. It also help our opposition at the weekend, Crystal Palace, who cannot cope simply with playing 2 games a week with squad depth. So both teams should feel ready and refreshed to go into the game. And I'm going to say this, and they're both going to come out flat because maybe they've been bold on Christmas Day and gone for a 3-course meal. Let's just say.
James, I think Harry's right. I initially think that Thomas Frank struggled a little bit with the games every 2 or 3 days, or 3 days at least, and Crystal Palace as well. Do you think that this sort of good week break now we're having is particularly good for us? Because in spells on Saturday we played quite well, but then when we went down to 10 men, the game was pretty much over with until that last sort of crazy 15 minutes where I felt like at one point I was going to be running on the pitch because I just couldn't sit down because I was screaming so much. But do you think this extra sort of week is good for the players? It's probably good for Thomas Frank as well.
Yeah, I think it will help. We had obviously that period where, like Harry said, we're playing Premier League and then Champions League or League Cup every week pretty much throughout the whole of October and November. So, it should give them time to prepare properly. I just thought Saturday was just a bit of a crazy game, really. It'd be nice to watch a game with sort of no drama and incidents and mistakes for once. Do you know what I mean? But I agree with what Harry said about Van der Ven as well. He doesn't look quite right. As soon as a player goes on an interview with Gary Neville, I think there's a few alarm bells ringing personally to see that. I thought Gary Neville was very strange on commentary on Saturday as well. He was tearing into our players, apart from Van der Ven, his new best mate. Who's having a go at Romero and Simmons and just going a bit over the top, in my opinion. But yeah, let's just hope they have a nice couple of days off with their families and they can come back and just maybe put in a better performance. The performance like you say in spells on Saturday was okay, but I just too many more mistakes are creeping back in. I think at the start of the season under Frank we looked okay, but the mistakes that we had under Postecoglou, they're starting to creep in more and more often. And that's quite worrying.
Yeah, Callum, how are you feeling heading into Palace? Obviously, they're playing tonight as well in the cup, so less break for them, more break for us, which is obviously always very good. Palace are a difficult side. They're one of those ones for us, aren't they? Sometimes we turn them over, and sometimes we really struggle with them.
Well, obviously, it was Dr. Tottenham for them last year, weren't it? They didn't have a point up until the time we played them, and then got a nice win on Mikey Moore's senior debut for us. So, we do have a nice aspect to helping them out. It's such a peculiar game as well. We've had some of the best goals for Spurs. Dele Alli's goal in the past over there. It's a cracking fixture, and you want it, but it's such a well, it's hard to say because I'd say every team's a bogey team for Spurs now, apart from maybe Man City. Realistically, that's the only time we're guaranteed at least 3 points a season is against City now. Everything else is real, apart from where we didn't lose to them to do it. Harry, go for it, mate.
I was going to say Wolves, surely Wolves as well, but we actually did beat them this year. So my joke was there. I was going to say that doesn't work at all.
Yeah, saying that though, they got 2 points and one of them was against us this season. So
it's bad, isn't it?
They don't get any more, they don't get any more anytime soon.
I mean,
last year, realistically,
it was Palace, it was Ipswich, it was Southampton,
Forest now as well.
Forest. We're the gift that keeps on giving it this Christmas.
And literally, it creates the worst epitome of a club going, doesn't it?
I know,
because we don't know what Tottenham's going to turn up. That's the problem. We could turn up and be as good as we were against Brentford. We could turn up and do a half display for 20 minutes like we have at Liverpool and against Fulham, or we could just bend over and pull our pants down and go on. Hey, it's Christmas. Go for it. Have fun and all that. Like what we did against Blinking Forest the other day.
Yeah, it's worrying. It's concerning because we don't. There's the expectation there as a fan base, but the expectation hasn't been backed up with performances so far. However, we are at the end of 2025. I'm pretty sure I know what everybody's answer is going to be. But Harry, what was your highlight of 2025? Because I've got my clicker, my button ready for as soon as you tell me what it is, I'm gonna put a picture up, and I'm pretty sure I know what it's gonna be.
It'd be funny, isn't it, if I come up with something different, but I genuinely can't think of anything different just for the sake of it, to be honest with you. Yeah, it's absolutely, isn't it, winning in Bilbao. But it's also the trophy parade off that. Not only the night in Bilbao, it's the parade and everything about it. You see on your screen there, it was a special night, first trophy. If they speak individually in my own lifetime, I'm sure many others as well in that situation. Very good to see. And, you know, I think, if I'm honest with you, and I turn it into a small negative, I think that has become a little bit of a problem to the fact now that we're being unfairly judged, or Frank's being unfairly judged because we won the Europa League last year. It's all like, yeah, but we should be winning this year. And that's the thing, you know, fans, we live in a modern era generally in football of a win now generation. So now they've seen that last year. The club are doing it as well. And I think that was, you know, big part behind sacking Ange. And it's a big part behind why Thomas Frank, you know, won't get months and months to turn this round. They're looking at it going like, right, trophies now. Let's push on. You know, they say, look, oh, we've got a taste of Bilbao. We want to win more. No, you've got to do more to win more. It's not on the players. Of course, some of it is, but it's generally speaking not on the players, in my eyes, and the manager. It comes from upstairs. It's just the direction, the structure, the organisation, actually the input, what they're doing, you know, the money, the recruitment, because the money's been there. I think should be even more, but the point is the recruitment. So generally, it's a real positive. I think there's small little negatives that come off the back of it, but I wouldn't change it, even if it means you've got, you know, some of the fans that are more entitled and egotistical and difficult to deal with in general, like Callum. But no, all jokes aside, you know, it was a huge night. He's the funny listening. Huge night in Bilbao, and you know, I love being. I couldn't be there, but I love the trophy parade, and it was good fun.
James, you'd take a trophy any day of the week over a top 6 finish, right?
100%.
Highlight of 2025 for you?
Yeah, I mean, it has to be, mate. I mean, I don't think any of us will ever forget that night, whether you're watching it on the telly, in the pub. I was in the stadium. I couldn't get over there myself, couldn't afford it. But in the stadium, it was amazing running on the pitch at the ends. Couldn't quite believe it. But I'm just worried that it's another one-off, a fluke, a bit like the League Cup in 2008. You know, we've kind of just gone on a dreamy cup run, a bit like the Champions League as well. But, we couldn't get over the line in that one, but they're just sort of like these dream cup runs that we all love, but there's no consistency, is there? And I'm just worried that, it's going to be another how many years until another one. But in a way, that makes it more special. You've got to cherish these moments. But I mean, unbelievable night.
Callum texted me earlier to tell me what his 2025 was. The highlight was, and that was the appointment of Thomas Frank. He's obviously he was delighted with that. Callum, was it the? I mean, it is the Europa League win for you, right? That's the pinnacle of 2025 for you as well.
I think that's one of the only good points of 2025. Let's put it that way. how can you say otherwise? I mean, I don't like that picture. There's quite a few players in there who had no part in it or who are absolutely crap, but realistically,
yeah, I mean, look at Sergio Reguilon right at the front now. He didn't even
Reguilon.
Yeah,
Reguilon, Werner.
Werner. I mean, who else is in there that didn't really do much?
Whiteman.
12 goals.
Yeah, because quite a few goalkeepers in it. 4-star.
Yeah.
Was it Whiteman?
Whiteman, yeah.
Yeah,
who's now retired.
Yeah, he's now a photographer. Yeah, good on him.
Yeah,
good
photographer and part-time DJ, ain't he? And we've got Fraser Forster in there, who is working on a building site as a bag of cement. It's always good. But, I mean, realistically, you can't get much better than that. And I think just seeing Sonny's face did it all for me. It meant more seeing Sonny win a trophy than actually watching the game, because I would say the game was pretty meh. It was all right. We probably beat a team that realistically was worse than us, and yet got better players than us in the summer.
I mean, look, they're a big team still, aren't they? Let's be fair about it. If
Massive club.
It's absolutely ginormous, and people are going to want to play there. They come down to obviously some recruitment that we'll talk about later on, and one individual that's got an opportunity to potentially play for Manchester United. However, I think as we're on, there's some news broken that he's probably not going to be going to that side of Manchester, but we'll cover that a bit later. But for me, the highlight of 2025 was the Europa League win. I was very lucky I got to see us win the FA Cup in 91, and then obviously 2008, as James alluded to earlier. And this was just incredible opportunity to see that and to witness it. I hope it's not another 41 years until we see another one of those, because I will be 81. So I don't particularly want to be watching it 81 of our next trophy, but 17 years is still quite a long time. So I think recruitment definitely needs to be improved. But let's just look ahead at the Crystal Palace game. Thomas Frank has been speaking ahead in the press conference. Team news for that. He said team news is the same as before the Liverpool game. Everyone that are available for the Crystal Palace game. Obviously, Christian Romero and Xavi Simons will be suspended for this game and thus unavailable for selection. James, just your thoughts on those double red cards on Saturday. One petulant and one kind of harsh. Would you agree?
I mean, the Xavi Simons is just silly, isn't it? I mean, I don't think it's a red personally, but in this in this day and age, you just can't do it, can you? Whether it's an accident or not, you just can't do it. It's just clumsy. As soon as they slow it down on VAR, it's always going to be given. It's as simple as that. I mean, I feel for him a little bit because he struggled, then he seemed like he was getting somewhere, his goal against Brentford and a couple of good performances, but then he still looks like he's struggling a little bit, to be honest. And then Romero one is, again, I don't think he's ever going to change, is he? He's a hothead at times, to say the least. He's made a mistake for the first goal. He's then gone charging around the pitch. And then, at the end of the game, we've got a sniff at maybe getting an equaliser. And he's done a silly little Beckham kick out. It's just, you just can't do it. You've won a free kick, mate. Just get on with it. I just don't understand. I mean, I'm starting to think whether he should really be the captain if he carries on like this, to be honest with you. I heard a stat the other day of how many yellows and reds he's had. I can't remember what it is exactly now. In 100 and something games, he's been booked 33 times and 3 red cards. It's just like, yeah, I don't know. I don't really know what the answer is there. But obviously, you can't really take all of that out of his game because that's a part of his game. But some of it is just avoidable, and it's just, being professional and not losing your head.
No, absolutely. Just on the other red, still on the Xavi Simons red. Thomas Frank saying in the press conference, Harry, it was asked whether he'd like to appeal it, and he said, "I'd like to do it, but I know it does make sense in a way with how the rules are. We can appeal, but we'll get nothing from it, just as I've been told." Sorry. So that is about it. Harry, do we have a disciplinary issue at the club at the moment?
should tell you what, there's some clubs that definitely do have disciplinary problems before Tottenham, and Chelsea will be one. It's top of the list, let's just say, top of the Christmas tree to make it more festive. But for Tottenham's point of view, it's a concern. I think the broader thing is a lack of leadership. That's what I'd say stands out to me more than that. And I think they coincide with each other. Absolutely, no doubt about that. Lack of leadership, an issue that has been there for a long time with Tottenham, sometimes over exaggerated, but I think now more ever present. I think we've got leaders in potentially, we spoke about it last night a little bit, in Kulusevski and Maddison that just not here. We get the calls maybe for him to be definitely part of the leadership team, but at the same time, I don't think he should be the captain after what we saw. Walking past Frank. Not only that, that's your boss really, but also disrespecting the fans. In my view, I get it's that frustration. That for me, just that alone is no to the captaincy. I think he's not a natural leader in my eyes. Kulusevski maybe could be. Maddison definitely could be. I think for now, Romero's the captain. I love him, but also you hate him in a way when you see him do things like that. And I'm in a disagreement as well with people around me, would be friends or my own dad. I personally have, as much as the two individual errors are poor for someone of his level and the game of, I'd argue, such importance. Human error, I can get my head around that a little bit if he doesn't make the same mistake again. He's usually really good, but I can't get my head around. But James has said it there. It's literally petulant, a little kick out on the floor. And again, I know he's playing with passion. Romero, wears his heart on his sleeve, I think it's saying, he gives it 110%. So I understand that passion's running high, and if a player's holding on to you, you're going to lash out, but you push him away. You don't kick out knowing that, well, especially not with the referee there. If he'd done it, the referee with his back to him, I'd go, I know you've got VAR, but I go, okay.
Right in front of the referee, Harry.
Right in front of it. That's just stupid. That's brainless thing to do. And we've got the free kick. We've got the momentum. Well, no, because Romero then took another 2-3 minutes out of our time to go on attack, ruined the momentum. And I think that impacted the game. I actually think we could have drawn that 2-2. I think we deserved to. I'd actually sit here, Gary, if you said to me, what do you think would have happened? And of course you don't know this, but I reckon it would have been 2-2. Romero can't take the blame for something we didn't know was going to happen, but I think that was very much the case. So yeah, poor for him. I actually agree with both red card decisions. If I'm totally honest with you, I think Frank's trying not to. I think Frank is someone that very similar to Ange that respects the official, but he's fighting for his job right now, so he can't be agreeing with every decision because that not only annoys the fans, it looks bad on him. So they go, okay, what's your excuse then? That's what they say back to him. So I think he's playing the pass the blame game at the moment. But no, I've gone around the houses. But the point is, poor for Romero.
Yeah, I think I don't think there's a disciplinary issue. I agree with you. I think it's a leadership issue. I'm still not convinced he's probably the right man for the job. In a game like that, when we're already 10 men down, a man down, and we are on the front foot, all of a sudden from nowhere, and he's done something like that, which instead of putting the team on his back and saying, "I'm going to drive you forward, I'm going to drive this forward," and he does something like that. For me, it is concerning. I think there's a leadership issue. I don't know where that leadership's coming from at the moment. But Thomas Frank also was asked, as he is pretty much every 3 days, for an update on Dominic Solanke and Dejan Kulusevski. He said, as I said before, both of them, I will be very happy when I can announce they are now part of the squad. That's where it is. Callum, what is going on here? These are both just knocks. And is there something up? Is there something underlying in here?
It seems to be the same running issue that we have with this medical team for God knows how long. We had the same with Radu, didn't we, when he was out injured? Oh, it's only a knock. Eric Lamela, a knock. That being at the club and all that. So from what I've heard, they are on their way back. We are likely to see them probably in January. They are on the grass training as well with the physical conditioning coaches, just not with the main group. We did have all this drug scandal come out about
Blanket.
Dom the other week. That was complete and utter BS, to be honest. Not even worth the waffle, if you get what I mean. So with Dom, not an issue. Just I get where he's coming from, but I would rather see these players stay out for longer than rush them back and then have them out double as long, wouldn't you? Because we rushed Solanke back in the summer, ultimately when he should have had surgery, completely fell apart. Kulusevski, we tried to rush back in the past before, and it's had recurring injuries. We rushed Maddison back as well, resulted in a 9-month anterior cruciate ligament injury. I know he did go down limited to no contact under that one. So, yeah, from what I've heard, they're still progressing. There's no drug bans or scandal or anything like that. It's just they're injured. They'll be back when they're back. That's what we've got to accept now. Simple as that.
And every 3 days asking him probably isn't helping him. And he did say, he said multiple times, but bless him as well. He has said multiple times, I will tell you when they're ready. And he still gets asked. Oddly, I just expect one of them just to turn up one day on the pitch and just be like on the bench. I think that would be the greatest. No,
it's
they're
too
not
nice.
Available. Yeah.
We need an answer like, what do you want, mate? I'll deal with you after, mate. Kind of, attitude, and they go away.
Should just do like what they do in East London. Just have a brick on their desk, and if you ask a question, just throw the brick at them. Just launch it. It'd be brilliant.
It wouldn't be a bad idea. However, other news, other than not throwing bricks, Matt Wells has departed the club for MLS side Colorado Rapids. Thomas Frank said on the departure, "I'm very happy for Matt. It's a great opportunity for him. I think he's a very talented coach, and I think he's got a good potential to be a good head coach. It's different when you stand out there on your own, but I think he has all the attributes to do well." James, disappointed to see Matt leave, or was it something to be expected?
Just a bit of a strange one, really, to be honest with you, Gary. I mean, he can't be that well valued at the club if they're willing to just let him go like that. If he wanted to go, I don't really know, the ins and outs, if he's done an interview on it or what, but I haven't had too many sort of inside info on it. But, if he wanted to go and he wants to be a head coach somewhere else, then fair enough. But, it's the MLS. It's not, one of the top leagues in Europe. I mean, maybe that's a good place to start your coaching career, your managerial career, and build yourself up. But just think it's a bit of a strange one halfway through the season, what with that and Prjctspurs both going before a January transfer window. I don't know, it just feels to me like there's just something not quite right behind the scenes. Maybe that's me just being paranoid or sceptical, but for two backroom members of staff to go, just seems strange to me. Do you know what I mean? One's an assistant coach, and one's the director of football, who's supposed to be bringing big name players in for us in January, and he wants to go back to Italy and go to a team that are bottom of Serie A. It just seems weird.
Yeah, absolutely. I like the MLS. It's not the best league in the world.
Oh yeah, don't get me wrong. I quite like it as well. I've got a bit of a soft spot for it, but
yeah, I enjoy watching it. I like covering it on some of my channels, and I'm probably going to do a little bit more on it next year. It is a league I enjoy doing. Again, the standard isn't quite there, but like you say, Jane, I think it's a good opportunity for him to go and learn to be a head coach. There's no promotions, relegations. There's no worry about that. He's just got to get those squads right, and he's got to work within, a wage structure. And ultimately, most of that's is done for him anyway. So he's just got to go out there as a head coach and coach. He has said as well, he has done an interview with Colorado Rapids. He said, I want to thank the ownership. Yeah, he said, I want to thank the ownership for putting their faith in me to take the club forward. I'm a very ambitious individual who has been surrounded by elite players and managers for the past 7 years. I'm excited to bring my experience and winning mentality to this organisation. The last bit surprised me slightly because he was part of the Europa League winning setup, but there's not been a huge amount of success anywhere else that he's gone in terms of trophies. I really do hope that he does well. I'm certainly going to follow Colorado as I have with West Brom as well with Ryan Mason. So yeah, James, you're a follower of MLS, as you say. How do you sort of see him progressing out there?
Yeah, I mean it's kind of like a low risk move to try and progress yourself. I think. I mean, maybe that's what he wants. He doesn't want to be in the spotlight. He doesn't want the pressure of English football. Like you mentioned, Mason at West Brom, even in the Championship, it's still cutthroat. It's still, you've got the media on you, attention on you. And like you say, in America, you don't really have the stresses of the relegation and the promotion. So I think it's a good opportunity for him to just, begin his senior coaching career, so to speak. And hopefully he can progress. And you never know, he'll probably end up back in England, hopefully, with more experience. But I wish him all the best, obviously. Like, he seems like a good guy, and You know, if he feels it's the best opportunity for him at the current moment, then yeah, go for it, mate.
Yeah, I echo those thoughts, and I'm sure I know Harry does. He's nodding as well, and Callum, we do obviously wish Matty the best. You did bring up, James, one man that's potentially leaving the football club as well, Fabio Paratici. Thomas Frank was asked his thoughts on that today as well, and he said it's not the first rumour I need to speak about. If it is, it's staff, directors, or players in general. I'm not speaking about that. I just want to try to focus on Crystal Palace. It's probably something for someone higher up in the club. Callum, what do you know latest wise on Fabio Paratici's potential exit?
Still ongoing at the moment. Obviously, there were all the talk of him going to Fiorentina, getting the top job, having full control over their football operations. It was put to me last night, and there's only so much that I can say, but there is more to this story than just money and a footballing project. There is family connections, obviously, back in Italy. There are also family issues back in Italy, which Paratici has got to resolve as well. So it's sort of part and parcel. It'd probably work for him to return. He has agreed terms, I believe, at the moment with Fiorentina. It's on club-to-club negotiation level now. Spurs realistically have a contract with him, whether they agree it or not. It's one of the difficult ones. And whereas everyone's going, Paratici is Levy's man, no, Paratici is still a Spurs man at the end of the day. He's been there throughout one way or another. So it's still ongoing. I still see it happening at some point, but realistically, it's slowed down a little bit because the Italian media have probably got on board of the story now, and they're probably trying to sell Bastoni or Lautaro Martinez to someone else in the world.
Yeah,
that's sort of where we're at the moment.
Harry, what's your thoughts on him potentially leaving? You're disappointed at that potential, considering sort of the backing and patience we'd given him over that sort of quite a long, lengthy ban that he had got.
Yes, very disappointed, Gary, if I'm totally honest with you. As much as I don't enjoy actually ripping apart the owners, I think it needs discussing more than anything. I don't think, and we don't know, this is a reflection on them. In my view, this is a case of Paratici's homesick. Interesting there that Callum, with his inside information that he has, says that it could be family issues, and there is, I should say, family issues. That's interesting because I was thinking today, maybe he's a little bit homesick, or maybe there is something wrong. So that brings vital context to anything. And you've got to remember, Antonio Conte in the end was homesick when he was at Tottenham. He was at the end, right at the very end as well at Chelsea. Could just be an Italian thing, could just be a coincidence. It does seem that it's a case of homesick, I do think, with Paratici. And I remember what Paratici said in his first spell at the club. He always said, "I love Tottenham, but if I had any chance to return to Italy, I know where I want to be." That was his words. So I won't forget that. And I think that's exactly the same now. And, big role, apparently. I mean, I've had lots of rumours today. Callum again saying very similar rhetoric about big role for Paratici. He's not going to turn that down. He's always someone that's liked power. He's like that, a little bit of hunger. I mean, Juventus, that power was abused, not just by him, but by a lot of people. So, yeah, it's a real shame. I think it's a coincidence. I think Matt Wells is a big opportunity for him. And Paratici, arguably, as well, is a big opportunity for him. I don't think it is the club imploding, although I dislike strongly the upstairs. I cannot stress enough, that these owners, like, they're painted by the fans and by the football media as new owners. No, these are the same people, with the same ideas that do not work, or no ideas, I'd argue. We're going absolutely nowhere but backwards, or just about sideways. Just because they've got a new look board, you could have the greatest board in the world. You could have Lionel Messi's on the board, in terms of on the football pitch, but equivalent of that level. In board level, but there'd be absolutely no difference because they'd be drowned out. They wouldn't be listened to. And, if I interview the Tottenham Hotspur Supporters Trust, you only got to listen to 5-10 minutes of that to know they are not, the club don't listen to them, to put it lightly, and they're very honest about that. It's as simple as that. They do not listen. They have positive things to say about Vinay, but that was absolutely about it. They do not like the club, and they push hard for the fans, but they're drowned out and not listened to. But I could go on an absolute massive tangent, but I wish Matt Wells all the best. Paratici, I think, will leave. I think probably in January, I don't know. And I do wish him all the best. But yeah, it's a real shame, both of them. They're both valuable assets, and the club will suffer. We haven't been great with them, but you'd probably be even worse without.
Well, Fiorentina currently sit bottom of Serie A with just 9 points after 16 games. They did pick up their first victory of the season this weekend in a 5-1 victory at home. They've had, obviously, that one win, 6 draws and 9 defeats. They are a massive Italian club. Introduced, in everybody that is an Italian football fan knows Fiorentina and the history of that club. So I can get why he might want to go there, and he sees that as a long-term project. James, it's just disappointing, isn't it? To sort of, we've backed you, you're now going to go back to Italy, and we've kind of like, okay, we've got essentially we've back to Lange again, aren't we?
Yeah, just strange, Gary. Like the timing, for example, right before a transfer window. I mean, I didn't know, the family stuff, what Callum's mentioned there, but I can't imagine Fiorentina are paying him more than Spurs, surely. I know they're a big name, they're a big club in Italy, but I've been to watch them in Florence, and the stadiums run down. They don't. It's not like they get in the Champions League regularly every season. Like I say, they're currently bottom of the league. I mean, maybe he's got ties there and stuff, and that's fair enough. He's Italian, but to get a ban in football, and then we've given him a chance to come back. In a lot of jobs, you don't get that second opportunity, or your record's tarnished, so to speak. But for him, for some reason, it's not. Don Prjctspurs. I mean, he's almost like a character from a Godfather film or something, isn't he? I mean, yeah, it's just disappointing that he'd be going now if he is going. And I don't really see, what's the structure of the club when he goes. Then, is Lang? Is he pronounce it Lang? Johan Lang? Is he going to take more charge of the transfer dealings? And the owners as well. I mean, Harry's touched on it there. It almost feels like the club's a bit of a plaything for them. Do you know what I mean? They don't really know what to do.
Yeah.
Like, oh yeah, we're going to give 100 million. It's like, well, okay, that's brilliant, but it's in modern football, it's not actually that much.
With Fiorentina, it looks like the ownership there are looking to completely rebuild the club and get back to previous sort of standings. I can understand it, and if you are, like Harry said, if he is maybe just wants to go back home and didn't have that opportunity when we came in, fair enough. Callum, is there any talk of anyone potentially replacing him?
There is a few. One of our favourites who I've heard of the last couple of days is Paul Mitchell, who me and you spoke about with Diehards on Sunday. There he is. Cheeky chappy. Looks so happy there without being micromanaged. Let's put it that way. Realistically, this is the one that I'd like, to be honest, and it's one who Spurs have spoken to, and it could lead on to other changes down. And there has been talk of Langer stepping up, potentially just having the full role. I don't think there's much in that, to be honest, at the moment, because
where's Mitchell at the moment?
Kind of he's been on medical leave ever since.
Oh, was he?
June,
he's not with another
club, June this year. No, left Newcastle on medical grounds, mutual consent. So it's one of them where realistically he is a free one. We've got to sell the project to him because he has got other offers out there. Realistically, there's him.
Prjctspurs.
I was about to say, yeah.
That's a project for Spurs. You might want to say.
Oh well, you never know. You wouldn't know, but no, realistically,
there are a few. The last 3 podcasts that we've done, and I finally nailed it on the Christmas edition. Carry on.
Yeah, this is when I hand in my resignation. I'm not putting up with your jokes for another year. No, I'm not living that down. But no, realistically, I think that Paul Mitchell's the most advanced one at the moment. There's a couple of other names who are out there, but they're either silly names like Lucas Ocampos, Victor Orta has been named. There's someone called Arda as well in Spain, I believe. Paul Mitchell's the most prominent that I've heard, and he would have obviously the knowledge of Spurs. He would come in, if he did, with a full remit to control everything. and he would want like the power he had under Poch. To be honest, only reported to Levy.
Talking of Poch, is there a relationship still there? Because I've heard that Poch's name's been brought up as well internally.
Poch's name has been. He is obviously good mates with a lot of Spurs legends, with Paul Mitchell as well. Paul Mitchell was bought to Spurs by Pochettino as part of the sort of move over package. So Poch is definitely there. Not for now though. It'll be summertime, I reckon, because he's still got his contract with the USA. So, and I know it'll link in with us saying about Frank's future, everything like that. So if we are to move the Poch, it'll be in the summer. But they would be a good combination. There would be talk of potentially David Pleat coming back as well in a scouting capacity. He's kind of working alongside Celtic at the moment. Potentially Ian Bloomfield, Jeff Vatera as well. There's a few other names.
Get the whole band back together that we had sort of 5-6 years ago.
It's like the WWE when they get back, all the old wrestlers.
So we just got the NWO original back together for one last run, and Hulk Hogan's on his way to the ring. Just like it just makes you laugh, Harry, doesn't it? That we've sacked a manager that everybody loved. And I appreciate we struggled a little bit towards the end of his season. We didn't back him when we need to. We've gone around the houses on this. Then we've gone to every type of manager possible to try and replicate what he had. To then 6 years later, potentially go back to that again.
It's frustrating. It sums Spurs up, in managerial cycles, isn't it? That's the way that the club has gone, and that's my whole point. At this club, we have this sack and rehire scheme, or this sack and that's what they call it anyway, in like any other normal job. But it's just utter incompetence, really. We just go around in a cycle, and Spurs fans are a bit, bipolar as it is. We do not need, this level of, inconsistency from up above as it is. It's just incredibly frustrating, Gary, because for me, what's cost this club so dear, apart from just being idiots and incompetent upstairs, the fact that this links with it, absolutely, is the fact that we've sacked managers when we shouldn't. We've appointed managers when we shouldn't. We haven't backed managers when we should. That's the issue that I have. And Pochettino, for me, when I say entitlement, and it's something that never goes down well, and every time I attempt to do it, and I always try and think, right, how can I put this across a better way? But I think the point remains very, very valid and very strong. And that is the fact that when we achieve something as a football club, it's great in the moment, but going forward, there's expectation, and they get lazy as well upstairs. We reach the Champions League finals, so the club are thinking, what's this? We find ourselves in the bottom half, by the November point. No manager, especially for Tottenham Hotspur, who was a big achievement to get to the Champions League final. Our history's great. I'm not saying anything about that. But at that moment, to get to the Champions League final, we saw it. We knew it. It was a special run. You absolutely backed the guy. Players like Kieran Trippier just got England to the final, after that. They were absolutely knackered. And yes, it was affecting their performance. You don't judge in November. He should absolutely have had the full season. If you look at the end, Gary, and we finish 11th, 12th, whatever it may be, 9th, okay, pull the plug, fine. He's had a year, hasn't worked, we haven't progressed. But it's just this instant expectation because we got to the Champions League final. Why aren't we up there again? And the difference is Liverpool, after getting the Champions League final against Real Madrid, I keep this short, I'm aware of time, but they backed Klopp, they went bigger, they went bolder, and they come back next year. We've gone backwards and we're not getting back there, I promise you, anytime soon, unfortunately. It frustrates me. That's why I say back Frank. It's about, yes, it is about what Frank's achieved previously. It's not more about what I've seen so far at Tottenham. It's the fact we need to end this constant, like Watford and Chelsea, sack managers all the time. And the only club out of those three that has credibility to do so is Chelsea, because they spend the money, in the last few years, they've won a few trophies to go with it, unfortunately. I just don't get it, Gary. It annoys me, and Poch should never been sacked. He should be here right now.
Yeah, I agree with you. He ain't the right, but unfortunately, we are nearly 6 years later, aren't we? Really, if you think about it, maybe 5 years later. But just before we let you both go, and Callum is going to give us a lot of transfer breakdown. James, just coming to you. Expectations for 2026. What would you like to see from the club?
Well, I don't know, Gary. At the moment, to be honest with you. We've got this 100 million to play with. Doesn't look like we'll be getting Semenyo with it. So it'd be interesting to see who we do go in for, in January. Obviously, the left-hand side has been a problem for a while. Do we go in for a goalkeeper? I think January's a bit of a tricky time to do any business, but Vicario's he's made a lot of good saves, but there's a lot of high-profile mistakes now. So, do we go in for a goalkeeper? There's just so many questions. Without a doubt, the squad needs to be strengthened. So that would be my first hope in January. They make a statement, at least one statement signing, and then just hopefully a cup run. An FA Cup run. It's been so long now. I don't. A bit like the Europa League. I don't care where we finish in the league as long as we win something. That's what football's all about. It's about the glory. The game is about glory. It's about winning things. It's about trophies. Moments and memorable nights with your mates and other supporters. So, you never know. We could go on a run in the FA Cup or even the Champions League. Dare I say it? But I think the league, in terms of the league, it's just we've just got to do as well as we can. Hopefully, Frank does get time. If it doesn't work out, we might see Pochettino come back. But if he does, it's like getting back with an ex. Is it always the same as the first time? When he was first in charge, he had prime Dele Alli, a generational star in Harry Kane and Son. He won't have any of them second time round. So who knows?
Yeah, exactly. Harry, just finishing with you, I would love a cup run. Harry's woken up from his days then. Would you love a cup run as well? Because I would love to see this again.
Oh,
you
yeah.
are for this, Harry, but I get it. This is what I want to see, that FA Cup.
Yeah, definitely. I'm just in thought at the moment, and just about just getting annoyed actually with myself about fans' expectations. So thank you for getting me out that frustration thought. But no, listen, no joke actually. I want to, yes, of course. I want to see the FA Cup respected in my lifetime. It hasn't been respected. It's been thrown under the bus, and we get managers like, I know it's not the same competition, but even like Arne Slot, right, in Liverpool's position, they just go there to play the kids for the Carabao Cup, and that isn't. Let's give the kids a chance. We believe in them. It's pure disrespect to the competition, and it's this. I think it's, again, we talk about entitlement. I've used that word far too often tonight, but it is a level of entitlement, and the FA Cup is not as big as it should be. It's not as grand as it should be. It's not respected in the way it should be. That's the reality. I totally get. You can have too many eggs to juggle, and you're going to drop some out of the basket along the way. But the point is, clubs like Liverpool have the facility, they have the backing, they have the tools to be able to juggle them. Tottenham, we don't. And that's the thing with Ange last year. I do think in the end now, I feel very different. I do think it was, thick paper, but paper over cracks. But the reality is we didn't have the squad to juggle any more than one competition. With the injuries, maybe we could have done one a bit, maybe two, no more than that, because he's not given the tools. And people are lazy, right? You're a lazy individual, I'm going to say it now, as well as a fan. If you sit there and go, yeah, but Spurs have spent the money, it's often not Spurs fans that say that. I go, okay, who on? And who are we paying decent money to retain? Who are we paying decent money to attract? I understand Semenyo, right? I could be totally wrong about this because there's been rumours that Spurs, will splash the cash. But I think if we showed a little bit more ambition, and that, by the way, if we showed previous ambition in the transfer window, we'd have more success on the football pitch. That'd be more attractive to Semenyo. As much as I'd like to sit here and go, we're paying more money, we probably would have. But Semenyo's looking at Tottenham thinking, you're going nowhere. You've got no identity. I don't think all of that's on the manager. I think it's come from upstairs as well, or what doesn't come arguably from upstairs. Again, a very, very long answer, but I think the FA Cup should be, not maybe prioritised, but should be treated seriously. Success is important, but the club had this weird goal. Well, it's not a weird goal, but it makes sense to juggle all these competitions. But it's weird considering the way we act, Gary, in a transfer window. It's like, they say Burnley under Scott Parker this year going, yeah, we want to win the Premier League. If you don't do that, then I'm not happy. It just, what? That's not possible. It's great to aim high, but it's just not possible unless you do something drastic. At Spurs, we don't do something drastic. We do something very average, which myself included at the time thinks, oh, great. We bought in a Kudus or we bought in a Simmons. Then really, as the window goes on, we think we missed out on him. We missed out on him. We didn't do this. We didn't do that. We didn't replace him. We didn't replace that. And it's just incredibly frustrating. Again, I could get started and I could keep you all night, unfortunately. But it's Christmas. Let's remain positive and let's hope Tottenham can win the FA Cup.
I'm just finishing with you before we move into transfer news. Your hopes for 2026?
Oh God, to be in the Premier League? No. I think that 20. You don't know, what can happen. But listen, I think it's for the fans to back Thomas Rank. I mean that, whether he be the right guy or not, I think it's fair to give him a chance. to have his say whether he could be or not. If it doesn't work out after a year, I still think you have no regrets. I just don't know where this has come from in football to give a manager 4 months to go, nah, you're not the right man, mate. 4 months?
Yeah.
What? Someone like Sir Alex
I mean, you
Ferguson,
can't do anything in 4. You can't do anything in 4 months.
You can't. And I like this example. I think someone said it to me, and I like to use it at the moment. And I'm not even going to compare Thomas Frank to him. This is not about Thomas Frank. It's football in general, briefly. Sir Alex Ferguson, you will not get a manager like him ever again. I promise you that in the Premier League or anything equivalent, because he doesn't get the time to turn it around. He's sacked before he does. That's the thing. And I honestly think that's the case. And that's really worrying when you take that direction in football. Arteta really annoys me, right? But the Arsenal board didn't listen to Arsenal fans because they don't know what they're talking about. And we Spurs fans, myself included, probably are exactly in the same boat. So they don't have a mind for their own. So they do listen to the fans, not in the right way. To yourself, well, just saying, it's pretty out there. But no, again, I'm sorry, I am going off topic. But for 2026, I think the aim is to basically be in a better position than where we are now. But I think, listen, we come back to this in a year's time, Gary. I'd hope that we'd be inside the top 6. I hope we'd be, getting to a place, hopefully, or thinking about let's get to the quarterfinal of, let's say, the Champions League. It'd be great to do that this year. I think it is possible. I don't think we would have won anything, from a year on now. If I'm being honest with you, I think that's fair to say, or anywhere close. But whether to be frank, I deep down believe it should be. Don't even think it will be, actually. I think it should be. I don't think it will be. That's the difference. I want to see us in a positive place. We have to progress. We're not. We're stalling as a football club. We've gone backwards since 2019. We need to take a step forward, Gary. So ambition is the one word that I'd say is needed as well in 2026. What will happen? Nothing. Stagnation.
For me, it's reconnecting everything, reconnecting the fan base. Because I think we're very split as a fan base at the moment. Half of us want Thomas Frank out. Half of us want Thomas Frank to get a chance. Maybe, probably not even half of that. Maybe then another 10% of that want a completely different manager. We need to be reunited as a fan base. I definitely expect some serious intent from our ownership. Otherwise, it's the same ownership as we've had for the past 20 years. And it's just another voice that we're having to listen to and essentially kind of being lied to. But there where I am. Callum, just quickly with you before we move on, your hopes for 2026.
I'm kind of like all the other guys and yourself, Gary. I think rejoining the fan base, better communications from the club, hoping to see progress from i.e. restructured board and club management level, not a new one, as they'd like to put it, but just something to enjoy again.
Yeah,
I just want to enjoy my football. I don't think we'll win anything this season. I think it's quite. I know that's quite negative, but realistically, I just want us to go to games and enjoy it, because at the end of the day, all 4 of us here are either season ticket holders or go to games regularly, and we want to see something on the pitch. And realistically, we're not seeing that at the moment, and we're paying a small fortune for these tickets, realistically. Yeah. So the fans want to see something for their money, and ultimately I don't think we have in 2025. So my hope is we see, because I had more fun watching the Europa League final from my sofa being half pissed. Let's put it that way. That was the best game of football, or best hope for enjoyment in there, realistically. So it's just enjoying football again would be for me in 2026 is my hope, mate.
I think this is a great comment that's coming on YouTube. All I want is hope. And it is the hope that kills you. You took it right out my mouth. It is, because on Saturday, I think I've never walked out early. It was about 60th minute. I thought I might go. Yeah. And then in that last 15 minutes, I obviously stayed, but that last 15 minutes, I don't even think I sat down. I was so like, oh my God, we're going to pull this back. It's the hope that ended up killing me, because then I was so deflated in my chair at the end. I was like, I feel like I've used all my energy. I've not even got on the pitch. But it is we want hope. We want progression as a fan base. But I promised you guys some time, which I really appreciate, Harry and James. Harry, tell us about all the great things you're doing. You're about to go on to do your own podcast today as well, aren't you?
Yes. Thank you very much, firstly, for having me, Gary. I enjoyed that. As always, thank you very much for having me. Great to be on with so many wonderful people and Callum. If you want to follow me, you can at Harry Scarf 22 across social media, football content creator and YouTuber. But listen, 2025 has been a great year. Very lucky to be awarded Britain's best young football content creator, an award that, I just, when you say that, and I just think, wow, really? Me? Why? So very, very grateful. And, listen, it's been a good year for Spurs in the end, winning in Bilbao. It's been, don't get me wrong, cracks and bumps in the road. I mean, that's the way it is, and we win a trophy. But you can follow me, like I said there, at Harry Scarf 22. Make sure you subscribe to this excellent channel. And I also have my own YouTube channel, Harry Scarf. 8:45 p.m. tonight, that's Greenwich Mean Time. We're talking to Spurs fan, West Ham fan, and an Everton fan for the Premier League podcast, Scarfy Talks Premier League podcast, Game Week 17 review and 18 preview, because of course no podcast Thursday, with it being Christmas Day. State the obvious there. So it should be a good one, and it's always lively. It's that's why Callum's not on it anymore, because there's no swearing, so he's not allowed on it. Simple as that. I'm joking. So it's PG, but we do have banter, we do have debates, and we do talk serious stuff. But Gary, if you always need to guess, where I am, and thank you, and great work you do as well within the Spurs community. So get behind Gary and support this. Should be, if it's not already, fast growing channel.
We're getting there. This is only our third show, I think, now. So we're getting there, but I appreciate that. James, tell us about the great things that you do with your scouting.
Yeah, cheers for having me on again, Gary. Appreciate it. Scouting's been a busy year for me, really. Just keeping busy, really, with the scouting. Obviously, I'm the lead scout for Harrogate Town in the southeast for their first team under 21s. I mainly attend non-league football. Non-league football is important. Without it, the elite would struggle, so to speak. It's a pyramid chain. I think more people should, get out and see their local teams if they can. I'll be getting out to National League South games over the festive periods, like Tunbridge, and some of my articles that I write. I'll do a scouting diary, volume 1. You can get on Amazon as an ebook, and they're on a website called hooligan-soccer.com. Guys in America kindly gave me a platform to put them on there. But if you go on their website, click on my name, I'll write Tottenham articles for them as well. And it's pretty much me, really. Starting a master's degree in performance analysis in football next month as well, so I could even have less time. But let's just hope on a Tottenham front we can get more than 4 wins at home, and we can get more value for money at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. White Hart Lane, I still call it.
Yeah, I still call it White Hart Lane as well. But Harry, James, thank you for joining us. Everybody that's viewing, please stick around. Me and Callum are going to go over some transfer updates with you shortly. And again, thank you to James and Harry for joining us. Just coming to you then, Callum. We've got a lot of transfers to go through. I did have this one particular name at the top of that list, and it is one Anton Semenyo. Tell us the latest on him, because while we're streaming, I don't know if you've seen it, but there has been an update on Anton Semenyo's potential future in the Premier League.
Yeah, so David Ornstein came out tonight and pretty much said that the preference is City. So he was going to the it's always been that he's going to a red club, either United, Liverpool or Arsenal, and now apparently he sees himself in light blue. So it's quite interesting to see that one. So that will then have a knock-on effect if he does go there, where it means that City have an overload of wingers. And there have been a lot of questions going out there saying, oh, who are Spurs going to get? Do we go back in for Savinho? Is Marmouche there? Is Oscar Bob there? Well, Oscar Bob's dead. He's on the injury bench, so we won't move for him. Savinho, Spurs have shown an intent in the past. There is still some interest there. City have touted us out to see whether we would still be interested. I have been informed that we are not prioritising his signing at the moment as it stands at this point. He is an option on the list, but not top level. There is tentative interest in Marmouche as well, but they're not the priority pushing at the moment. But if it was me personally, Marmouche has so much more to give than Savinho. to be honest. And I think you're probably the same as me in that respect, aren't you? That we'd rather proven players over someone who's only played about 17 games in full in the Premier League.
Yeah, I do like Savinho. I think he's got something about him, and I think his potential will come the more he plays, and he has to play more games. He's not playing regular enough for that potential to come out, but I think he's a very, very good dynamic player. You're giving me the option. Marmoush just is 5 years older. He's 26. Savinho's 21. Marmoush has played in Europe as well. Savinho is again in and out, but Marmoush traditionally was playing a lot more. So, yeah, you think Marmoush on the left and Kudus on the right wouldn't be a bad front line, really, with maybe Kolo Muani or if Dominic Solanke does ever return. But you covered Marmoush and Savinho, both players that been heavily linked. Do you not see any of them as potential happening? Because, like you say, with Semenyo going there, they've got to let a player go. And for me, I feel like that Savinho might come. It's just something about him for me. I can't put my finger on it. Do you not think any of those are likely?
I get where you're coming from, to be honest. I think there is a chance they could come, but it's the figures involved. I'm thinking that Marmoush, if you're going to say maybe 70, then potentially the money makes sense. Savinho, based on his form, not for 70. That's the figure that's been touted. The only way that he stays at 70 is because the contract, obviously, he signed that new extension at the end of the summer window into the season. So that's the only thing that protects his value, to be honest.
Yeah.
But I would say they're options there, and they both could do a job. But if we're going to be realistic, I'd say Marmoush, because Savinho is just the equivalent of Tel and Odebear. They're wingers with a little bit about them, but can't quite put your finger on them and all that at the moment, sort of thing.
Yeah, I can get what you're saying. David Ornstein has tweeted out when we were live. He said, exclusive, Anton Semenyo prefers to join Manchester City in January. Nothing formal until market opens, but Bournemouth attacker favours Manchester City. Man United have pushed hard, but have never planned to use, plus never planned to use the 25-year-old at wing back. But his switch was always tough for Man United. So sorry, that didn't make quite sense when I first read that. But I suppose people thought he might end up at wing backs, which I can get. I understand that was the way Man United plays. So yeah, okay. So Semenyo has politely declined Tottenham, and we're potentially interested in either Marmoush or Savinho. Again, figures there going to be quite tough. Next person that we've been linked with quite a lot at left back is Nathaniel Brown. Tell us the latest with Nathaniel Brown.
No direct talks with Frankfurt at the moment, but we've spoken to his agents, and he is interested because the project being sold is that he will be competing with Udogie. It won't be that he'll be a backup. It'll be them two battling out for the first team left back slot. So definitely something to be very interested about. We're probably looking about 45 to 55 million now. We're not going to get like what we did with Udogie, where we got him for 15 million. Them deals are long gone unless you do find a gem. But no, definitely interest there from the player. There's interest from Spurs, but we are competing with the big boys. Real Madrid have an interest. Bayern have an interest. I believe Juventus have looked at him, but they're in a bit of a rut as well. So if we can sell the project right, and if we can sell Prjctspurs to him, then realistically, he could be Spurs' left back at some point in the future. So I'd say keep an eye on him. He's the most prominent one going for it. And I cannot believe I've just used it. And the shit-eating grin that you've got on your face as well is absolutely...
I was so ready. I was like, he's not going to say it. But we slipped it in. We're 1-1 now on today's podcast. Slipping it in.
There we go.
Fantastic. It's an area that we desperately need upgrading. Well, not upgrading, we need covering, but also a potential upgrade as well, because he's a fantastic player. He's absolutely rapid as well. One player for me that surprised me when I heard about it, and this is probably just one of those far out rumours, is Barcelona goalkeeper Marc-Andre ter Stegen. Have you heard anything on potentially ter Stegen coming to the club? Obviously, he's 33-year-old goalkeeper. Goalkeepers do tend to hit their primes later. He's probably in his prime right now. And obviously, they have Joan Garcia that they signed in the summer and Prjctspurs as well. So potentially could leave the club. Is there any interest from Tottenham?
I mean, for me personally, I think he's a very good goalkeeper. He's someone that I've really rated over the years, and I remember when it was him and Sillerson down there, wasn't it, at one point at Barcelona, and they were two of the best in the world. For me personally, I'd like him to come in, but club side goalkeeper's not really an option for January. There's not the availability there of players. I mean, probably if City said, Semenyu's coming in, you can come and bid for James Trafford, then maybe we would move. And I know he's a favourite of mine and yours, isn't he, as a young player sort of thing. So if he was available, I'd say the club would move. But what I've heard at the moment.
Yeah, I think James Trafford is a very good goalkeeper. He's got a lot of potential as well. Again, we just look at potential, don't we? But talking of potential, probably one of the best young wingers in the country, really. 16-year-old, 12 games in the Championship this season, is Jeremy Monga over at Leicester City. Obviously broke the record for the youngest player in the Premier League, I believe. Any updates on Jeremy potentially joining the club in January or the summer?
If any deals to be done in January, it'll be sign on a loan back. It'll be like the Lucas Bergvall deal, realistically. I think there have been talks with his camp to see what they'd like, and there's the same with Leicester as well, but a lot of competition. We are in the mix. All this stuff where people say they are the front runners, well, realistically, we know until the player's holding the shirt, you ain't really got any chance. But we know that these are the players that Spurs do like, and they do like to get them in early. And I would say that if we could get Monga for maybe 10 to 15 million, it'd be a good shout for that for the future, realistically.
You think 16 years of age playing in the Championship, but playing 12 games already, that is incredible, really, if you think about it. And it's a potential is definitely there. Again, it's talking about potential. Someone that's kind of hitting their potential, though, that we've been linked with not only in the summer, but again for January, is Magnus Aklaiouche from Monaco. The man on screen is the first player signed on the new Football Manager 2026 game. He can play left side, he can play right, and he can play at number 10. Obviously, we saw him in the Champions League against us in September, I think it was, maybe early part of October. Very, very good player. Where are we currently at with Aklaiouche?
So there were discussions over him coming in this summer. Realistically, it's just interest at the moment. I mean, I could see potentially if Brennan Johnson left that maybe Aklaiouche could be looked at, but there's a whole bigger issue if Johnson does leave, and I know we'll cover that in a bit. But I would say he's more towards a right-hand side target, compared to left. But very good player. You just scout him on their missions in France alongside a number of others. We're looking at probably about 45 to 60 million fee at the moment for him, because he has kicked on again this summer. And this season, so realistically, he is a big target or a big price tag target if they were to move for him.
Yeah, we're getting linked with a lot of very good players, but quite large transfer fees. We traditionally don't really do huge transfer fees, to be honest. But another player with huge potential, 17-year-old defensive midfielder, has played 19 games this season in the Belgian Pro League, is Nathan de Cat of Anderlecht. Any updates on Nathan potentially coming to the club?
Long-term target. Realistically, it's the same with Keith Schmitz at AZ Alkmaar as well. They're both players that have been scouted by Langer and his team. wouldn't be able to move until he's 18 anyway, realistically. And I don't think he's turned 18 yet. So if we were to move, maybe get a deal done now and go for the future. But we're in the realm now of, like you say, big fees for big players. We're talking big fees for young players now as well. And I think he's going to come with a big price tag. I mean, there haven't been many figures talked about, but I mean, we saw the silly headline of Lucas Bergvall, 52 million to Liverpool, which is obviously BS, but Spurs value him at like nearly 100 million. So
I was going to say they're probably about 40 million short on that evaluation, just in my opinion. Bish, because of his ceiling, I think his ceiling is huge. Fortunately, it's not being played enough to reach that ceiling at the moment, but that's another topic for another day, I guess. But like you say, we are being linked with probably the right players, but again, it's just huge price tags, and we just traditionally spend that type of money. A striker that we've been linked with, not so much in the recent week or two, but there has been a lot of talk on him. 21-year-old striker, 13 games, 9 goals in Liga Portugal for Porto, is Samu Agahawa. Any updates on potentially him joining the club?
Unrealistic at this time. What I've been told is that the figure being asked for is the 87 million. They're not budging. They value him that highly. Is their like golden boy for the future, and realistically, Spurs don't value him at that. They probably value him at maybe 55 to 60, nowhere near that high. So it's a non-runner. I know Paul O'Keefe shared it last week, and Paul said we've scouted him, but even Paul said they had reservations over him as well. And from what I've heard, it's backed up in that respect. It's just not worth it.
Yeah, and I mean, 9 goals in 13 games in Portugal ain't bad. But he's playing for one of the best teams. I don't follow the Portuguese league as much as I probably follow the others. And, traditionally they do develop players really well out there. And they've always asked for some serious funds for their players in Portugal. And most of the time they get them. But I only recently just seen this one. Caught me a little bit off guard. He's a very good player, though. 23-year-old centre-back, 13 games, 1 goal in the Bundesliga for RB Leipzig. It's Castello Lukeba. Anything on Lukeba?
All centre-backs are not being entertained at the moment. They've still got a list of players that they like. Lukeba's one of them. Tapsoba was on it originally. We've still got young centre-backs that we like as well, but we're inundated with centre-backs. We've still got Ash Phillips and Luka Vuskovic to come back. So, and they're still trying to look for decisions on Danso, Dragusin and Takai before January in the summer. So I don't think we will be seeing any defensive-minded centre-backs coming in January. Let's put it that way, mate.
No, I don't think it's really an area we need to look at right now. That left-back for me is big. However, could potentially get away with Mickey van der Ven covering there if we need to. Did say on the Gary Neville's podcast that he prefers to play at left back, which I found quite interesting. And look, Danzo's a decent player. I think he's solid. He isn't a long-term answer for me. Luka Vuskovic, which we'll come on to later, could be that. But again, comes down to Christian Romero as well. Someone we do currently have that we probably said at the beginning of the season, up to like maybe the Manchester City game, I know being that was quite early, we were saying let's go and sign him now. He's not played a huge amount and not made much of an impact when he has been coming on, is Paulinho. Is there any updates on potentially him staying at the club, or is it likely we may terminate the agreement at the end of the season?
I think likely at the moment, there's more chance of him returning to Bayern at the end of the year compared to staying. But there's still time. Realistically, I don't think Spurs will make any decisions on him or Muani until at least after January, to be honest. It wouldn't make any difference if we triggered the deal now or in the summer, apart from creative accounting purposes. Realistically, it's about getting your figures on this year's balance sheet or next year's balance sheet. sort of thing.
Yeah.
You want all of it this year to do your tax return to make sure that you then have a clear budget for that year. But realistically, Paulinho, he's done okay, but because we don't know what profile of player we're trying to sort out yet, in that it's like, do you want a destroyer? Is your destroyer? Do you want a ball progressive midfielder? That's probably what we need more than a destroyer, isn't it?
I said before, didn't I, that when we were trying to get Morgan Gibbs White, I saw him as part of the number 2 in the double pivot because he can play with the ball, and he could be essentially like a quarterback, and he can spray the balls out and get moving. I kind of see James Maddison potentially doing that as well, but he's going to need someone next to him that is a destroyer. Paulinho kind of fits that profile. I'm not sure Bentancur does, and I think Archie Gray does as well. So it does depend on.
Throw Archie in the gym. Throw Archie in the gym will be good.
I think. Look, he's only 19. He's going to get bigger. I mean, I remember when I was 19, and you get bigger, but I think he's got that profile there. But it depends on what Maddison we get back. We could get 2 different versions, really. That's the worry. And look, Morgan Gibbs White continuously gets linked with us. I don't know where that is, but someone that is returning to the club in January, which we just found out or rumoured a couple of hours before we came on air, was on loan at Doncaster this year's Damalona Ajayi. Obviously, scored in the Europa League last season. Thought he looked excellent when he came on, done really well in the under-21s. And then we never saw him again, which seemed to have been the case with Ange and a lot of, let's not just say Ange, but most of the managers we've had post-Poch have just showed no real interest in our academy players. Damalona looks like he's returning to the club. Do you know anything about where he might be off to next?
Realistically, I mean, I think what Doncaster, they're League One, aren't they?
They are.
Yeah, so I mean, we may see another League One club or League Two club from what I've heard. There's not much interest from abroad. Championship is too far ahead of him because obviously he couldn't even break into Doncaster's team. I know he played 19 games, but he was behind their own like first choice winger sort of thing. So realistically, he needs game time. He needs to be guaranteed that. So I think that we'll be looking at one of them ones. But until they terminate it, no club's going to step forward and sort of show their full intent.
No. Another player that's out on loan at the moment that is doing some fantastic things is Luka Vuskovic. He's obviously at Bundesliga side Hamburg. Any potential recalls for him, or are we going to keep him out in Germany because he's doing so well out there?
Leave him alone, and leave him a blinking loan, to be honest. And obviously, he's been a hero for the last couple of days as well. He rendered, I believe, aid to another player on the pitch, putting him in the recovery position and helping with that. So big up to the young lad, to be honest. So, yeah, leave him where he's loved and wanted. And I know he's loved and wanted by Spurs fans, but he's loved and wanted more out in Germany at the moment because I'd rather let him develop, bring him back in the summer, then reassess when we assess all of our centre-back options, because I don't think he'll play for us.
No, I think if there's a long-term problem to Ndogi and we weren't prioritising signing someone there, we couldn't get somewhere, I could kind of understand if we brought him back and use Mickey, as I said, as a cover at that left back position, and Vuskovic could come in. But again, he's obviously not ready really for that. Bundesliga obviously is a very good league. It's very physical, but it's not to the standard of the Premier League. So I'm in agreement. Keep him where he is. If he's doing well, keep him there. We're just going to look at some potential loans for a number of players, just briefly. Some people that really need to get some game time. One being Kinski. Is this a likely that he'll go out on loan? He hasn't played at all. He's played against Doncaster and Newcastle, and that is it.
There is interest in him going out, and I think he is interested in moving out of the club to get game time. Whether they do it or not, I don't know, because I ultimately don't think him or Brandon Austin are ready to be number twos. mainly because of lack of game time and development. And I mean, Austin, 26 or 27 now? Kinski, 22. Vicario, literally, Vicario is the most frustratingly annoying goalkeeper because 1 minute it could be Magic Man, the next minute he's Flappy Hands Man. That's the problem that we've got. And neither backup option have sort of pushed Vicario enough to say, look, I'm taking your spot, you're done. And we all thought with the coach coming in from Liverpool and Dean Brill coming up as well as goalkeeping coaches, we would see improvement in our goalkeepers. If anything, we have seen a regression in our goalkeepers this year, ultimately. So I think if Kinski could go out on loan, I believe the club would entertain it if they guaranteed him getting a run of 30 plus games, sort of thing. If it's going to be going somewhere and he's going to be sitting on the bench, then no. Scrub that off. Might as well sit here.
It doesn't make any sense if he goes out on loan just to sit on the bench, really. He needs to be playing at a decent standard as well. You know, a good standard in Europe would be good for him. Someone that is being linked with European giant Roma is Matisse Tell. I'm really disappointed he's not being played. I like him. I think he's got a great profile. He should be playing more. I'm not sure why he isn't. Maybe he's not progressing to the rate that I think he perhaps could. Or Thomas Frank just thinks differently. But I know that Roma are interested. That'd be a great place for him to go. But is there any sort of concrete interest there?
Not really. Roma seems to be the Italian media are linking a lot of our players with Roma at the moment. It seems to be a running joke with them that they do it every single window and nothing ever happens. I think what was the last deal we did with Roma? Federico Fazio or something like that all them years ago, and that was the most aggressive form of Argentinian centre-back you could ever get. Plus, if you put Romero's aggression and Fraser Forster's like sort of physique together, that's Fazio, and the freaking speed was nightmare. But realistically, I don't see Tell going there. It makes no sense. If they are going to loan him, then potentially it could be an option, but they won't do an option to buy or anything like. But I do think he needs to have either play him or loan him. That's where I'm, because it's not helping him and it's not helping Odebear either. They are both very good players. They have that sort of flair difference, and if Tell's not going to be played, then move him out, get him some game time.
It just comes back again to the recruitment of the club. We've spent £45 million on him, didn't register him for the Champions League, and then and not playing him. So why have we spent this money? That money could have been spent on Morgan Gibbs-White. Could have gone in at a higher rate. We could have gone in earlier for Eze or whoever and gone and really replaced Song. And again, it's this recruitment.
And if you remember, it was an option to buy as well, wasn't it? Because we negotiated on the fee. It wasn't like it was an obligation. And the thing is, and a lot of other Spurs podcasters are like me and you, we really rate Tell. A lot of people who speak to the club as well rate Tell. But Frank seems to have something against him. We are seeing an out-of-form Kudus continue to play. We are seeing a Muani who is struggling to score. We are seeing Richarlison. Yes, he's on a good purple patch, but he can be improved upon. So if you're not going to play these young players, then don't get them, because his value is pretty sunk at the moment. It's nowhere near the 45 million that we paid for him. Let's put it that way. And this is what Joseph said. This is a really valid one, because they obviously lost one of their big wingers to Brentford in the summer. I think it's Wataro or something like that. If Semenyo goes, then he could be a good option for them. So I completely agree, mate.
Yeah, I think that'd be a great option for him. If we can keep him, if we're not going to play him, he needs to go out somewhere on loan. It's just disappointing. The recruitment again just baffles me with the club. Someone else that potentially could be on the move in January on a loan, maybe at Odegaard, or is he someone that we're going to keep around?
it's going to either be him or Tell to go out. They won't send both of them out on loan. Realistically, I think it's probably more likely to have. I think realistically, probably Odebear's more likely to go out than Tell, to be honest, because Odebear is obviously a winger. Tell can play up front if you need him to. But it's the same as we've already said. It's either play him or do it. Simple as that, mate.
Just quickly again on Anton Semenyo, Fabrizio Romano just tweeted within the last sort of 5 minutes. Man City are set to get all formal steps done for Anton Semenyo in the next days. Manchester United have been informed by the players' coach that players' camp, that Anton's decision tonight. So Anton Semenyo looks like he's going to be signing for Man City. Again, I say this a lot, but this is what I do on Football Manager. And this is what I think every club should do. You go out and you get these players lined up now, a week before that window opens. And as soon as that window opens, those people are in the door. Again, Man City showing really what most of the other clubs should do. Again, Savinho is being linked with us because of that. However, 70 million is what's being reported. Some people think 50 would be enough. Who knows? And then I've seen some other news within the last sort of half an hour. We're interested in Dye from Everton. Again, good player. Not sure if he would want to move on at this stage with how Everton are progressing. But keeping on the potential loan moves, again, another one linked with Roma. As you said, everyone seems to link us with Roma. Is Radu Dragushin, who was on the bench on Saturday when he ran past me. Because I sit just in front of the media, and he went to go warm up. He got a fantastic reception from everybody on my side and behind the goal. So it's great to see him back. Probably needs a loan move, but is that likely?
There's a chance. I think there's a chance. And realistically, it's because he needs game time. He needs to be able to sort of join up. He's either got to play or he needs to go out on loan because he just hasn't had the minutes for 9 months. If we do loan him out, he could protect his market value with us. Realistically, we need to sort of know where we stand, if you get what I mean. And yeah. I think it just needs to be sorted.
Another one that probably needs to go out on loan. We haven't seen anything of him. I don't even think he's been in this matchday squad yet. Is Kota Takai. Definitely needs to go out on loan. Is there likely of that happening?
A chance, but I don't even think we know if he's still at the club at the moment. Realistically, we ain't seen him, have we? That one is an out the way conclusion at the moment. I'd say probably a loan would be best for him, but then he joins the building centre back list of Dorrington, Phillips, and Vuskovic out on loan at the moment as well.
Someone that's likely to leave the club this January, I would have thought, or at least, if not in the summer, because his contract does run out, is Yves Bissouma, is currently playing in the African Cup of Nations. Can play there, but been unavailable for Tottenham all season, obviously due to injuries and disciplinary issues. This is a conclusion, right? Formal conclusion that he's going to leave the football club at one stage.
I reckon so. I think so. We all saw the links of him sort of doing stuff. He's come out and justified it, but I don't know. Something's not quite right there, is it? And we tried to move him on in the summer. It didn't materialise. We've heard about all the links with him having his contract terminated, everything like that. It hasn't been done. He's now gone out to AFCON. Apparently, he's now not injured and all that, and he could play a part in it. I mean, this man has all the talent in the world. He can be a baller as a midfielder, but he's got the attitude and capacity to think for himself of God knows what, because you just feel like it's having a child and you have to take care of him constantly. You can't trust him. and all that.
It's really disappointing because I was really happy when he signed. I thought it was a fantastic deal as well. I think it started really well, went off a little bit, and then again with just these disciplinary issues. It's a shame, really, but unfortunately, this the sort of professionalism isn't quite there. Someone that is obviously very professional by the looks of things and what you see and hear, who has been heavily linked with a move to Crystal Palace. West Ham apparently have shown some interest, but within the last day or so, Aston Villa is Brennan Johnson. Is this likely a transfer that's going to happen?
There's interest, definite interest, and there have been some discussions. There's talk of Bournemouth, Villa, Palace, and West Ham. Obviously, it's gone very quiet on sort of the Crystal Palace done deal that we heard, like 5 days ago and all that, which is what I knew to be true, that they had asked for the conditions of the deal, but it wasn't fully done yet, any shape or form. So we'll see some movement. I think he is a sellable asset for Spurs, and realistically, if he's happy to go, then realistically we will see it, if you get what I mean.
Yeah, I think it's probably a good idea maybe to move that on and use the money in areas that we need. Cover-wise, as you say, at Grealish, for instance, you get him in, let Johnson go, he can cover left and right. So who knows on there. But that's it for us for now. We'll be back on a live post-show episode after the Crystal Palace game, which is on Sunday.
I think so, yeah.
Yep, Sunday. So we'll be back then. It'll be live straight after the game, probably within about 10-15 minutes of the game finishing. In the meantime, obviously, everybody, thanks so much for joining us again. There's about 100 of you watching live, so really appreciate that. It's great for us to say it's only our third sort of live episode we've done, so really appreciate the support we're getting. Do follow Callum over on social media. Callum, what's your social media your at thing?
It's Callum Stubbs 97 on X, and then obviously obviously you can follow both of us at Prjctspurs, can't you? I think you can find me at Spurs Diehards as well, and some other weird stuff online and all that. So you
can find me on Twitter at Gary R. Ward. You can find me on Facebook as well. Facebook for me is doing very well at the moment, so I do appreciate it from that. And obviously Prjctspurs, I'll be on Spurs Diehards in about 25 minutes, so if you want to follow, come over there and listen to me probably talk about a number of the same things I've just done for the last 1 hour and 32 minutes, then please do so. Give them a good follow as well, and a support of great people. But yeah, in the meantime, have a fantastic Christmas. And let's hope that we do finish next year similar to this.